Hi, this is part three of a culture of breaking generational curses. So, these destructive cultural norms are obviously not something that we are born with as human beings. We are taught them. And then we're taught them in such a way that we're made to believe that they're actually normal and acceptable and just the way things are, right? But what organism in nature accepts negative things in the ecosystem that it does not try to fix? They do all the time, but we humans, for some reason, something's happened with our wiring that we will see things that are negative. And I mean, it's like patently negative. It's patently, you can't tell me it's not negative. It's negative. But we somehow say, well, that's just the way things are. Like poverty. It's just the way things are. Even Jesus, they'll say to you, Jesus even said, you'll always have the poor, but you'll never have me with you. So that's why it's okay for Mary Magdalene to spend this expensive ointment on anointing his head and his feet. Jesus wasn't saying you're always going to have the poor because poverty is normal. He was saying, y'all are so messed up that you're always going to have poverty. And he was trying to bring us to a point in our consciousness where we can see each other as human beings, as children of God, who deserve love, respect, kindness, help when we need it. And we always need it, okay? So, he wasn't okaying poverty. And this is what happens in religious institutions. They'll take something that a prophet said or a teacher said or a sage said, and then use it to justify whatever nonsense hypocrisy that they are willing to tolerate in society. Okay. So, when you as a person, you as an empath, you as a person who seeks the good of yourself and the good of humanity, who lives life based on true intentions, true intentions that you do want to be of service, you do want to help, when you live your life based on true intentions and you encounter these destructive cultural norms, these generational curses, you find it that you have to confront them. You find that you have to confront them. Like there's nothing you can do but confront them. And you're going to face flag because, like I say, there's people who are benefiting from these destructive cultural norms. There's people who are benefiting. There are people who are benefiting from patriarchy. Patriarchy as well. It's one of those expressions of an obsession with the ego experience on this planet, right? Like you're a boy, you're born and you've got testicles and a penis, and therefore you're a boy, okay? Patriarchy then says, because you're a boy, there are certain avenues in life that are available to you for you to express yourself through, for you to actualize and find fulfillment through. And there are others that are not open to you and then similarly, if you're a girl, you're born with a vagina and ovaries. Well, you can't see your ovaries, but we can also, that's how you tell it's a boy or a girl, it's the vagina, it's the testicles and penis. You're born with a vagina, and similarly, there are certain avenues that are open for you and some that are not for you to reach your self-actualization. Tell me why your XY or XX chromosomes are going to, in a civilization that claims to be human, that claims to believe in the creator, is going to determine that you as a soul can only experience certain things because of the expression of your ego in this incarnation. You see? So obviously, someone or something is benefiting from keeping humans confined to their ego. Why? What happens when you are confined to your ego as a human being? What is so threatening about you as a human being being able to function as a consciousness being, having a human experience wherein your egoic expression is the vehicle through which you experience life on earth? Obviously, it's a control mechanism. Okay, it's there to keep you under control. Okay, it's like if you have sheep in a sheep pen, you want to keep them locked in because you're exploiting them, right? For their wool, their meat, their milk. You don't want them running off. So is it possible that humans are being farmed? And it's like, what are we being farmed for? That's the question, right? Like I spoke about loosh harvesting in a previous video. And what's very interesting that there's a movie, a kid's movie called Monsters Inc., right? Which talks about this actually. And it's very interesting because if you actually want to find out like some very deep stuff about the nature of the world and the nature of the systems that I would say hijacked this world, because I don't think that Mother Earth likes this for us. I don't think she wants this for us. I don't think she wants patriarchy and racism and sexism and ableism and classism and economic exploitation of herself and her inhabitants to be the norm. I don't think she wants this for us. So some consciousness, not this benevolent consciousness that gives us everything we have, but some other consciousness hijacked this world and is now farming us, you know. And this movie Monsters Inc. actually is an expression of that. So Monsters Inc., if you've watched it, it's about how monsters come into children's rooms at night and scare them. And when the child screams, those screams power up the power generators of Monster World. Okay, like the screams are like the coal that you put into a furnace that spins the turbine or whatever, however electricity is generated. But the scream is the raw material for electricity generation in Monster World. The scream of the child. Okay, what's a scream? It's an expression of emotion, right? Of fear in this case. And then you look at planet Earth. Is fear mongering not one of the primary occupations of the media and the entertainment industry? Is it not? Especially the news. I mean, the news is all about fear mongering. It's there to put you in a state of utter distress. And then the wars, the political strife, these destructive social norms and institutions. Are we not being made to scream? What are we generating power for? What is this negative emotion? Who sees it as a raw material? What do they use it for, right? And then also you ask yourself in the movie, how do these monsters have access to these children's rooms? Right? Just like the people farming us, how do they have access to us? How do they gain access to us? Okay. And then later on in the movie, they discover that a child's laugh actually is a more potent raw material for electricity generation than a scream. And so the movie ends with the monsters coming into children's rooms to make them laugh instead of scream. They're still being farmed for their emotions. They're still accessible by these monsters. It's just now it's fun and not scary. Okay. So is it possible that as human beings awaken to these destructive cultural norms, that whoever's running the shows, whoever hijacked the human experience, is it possible that they're going to start replacing these destructive cultural norms with cultural norms that feel more fun and more safe, but are still just as invasive to our consciousness as human beings? Because they still reinforce the egoic expression of the soul over the consciousness that is the driver and which is supposed to be the beneficiary of the ego.